Alrighty, everybody. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. We have a new update here on the tropics for y'all. So we got some new info. Obviously, at this point in time, we got some good news, and the fact is that the system that we've been tracking here over the last little bit is not expected to impact the United States directly. Actually, a matter of fact, right now it's at its closest approach that it's going to make here towards the U.S. But we are just off the coast of Florida here, the system is. Now, we got some problems, though, ahead of us, essentially. But anyways, we'll get into that here in a minute. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. What's up, South Carolina or South Central? What's up, Kaylee? Good to see you. SPC Ty. Kaylee said, hi, y'all. Trying so hard to... Good luck to you, Kaylee. Did I say Kylie? I'm so sorry. Kaylee, good luck to you, my friend. Hopefully, here soon, you'll get through that. But I hope you're doing good, my friend, other than that. Let's see here. What's up, SPC? Saying hello. South Central says, I saw Northern Lights this morning. Nice, dude. That's awesome. What's up, Brady? Good to see you. No, it's not going to hit Corpus Christi. Man, really? Isn't it Texas? Yeah, no, this thing's not even hitting anywhere in the United States. This thing's just off the Florida coast here. But it will not be impacting. So we did actually have those tropical storm watches that were in effect for a while for the eastern side of Florida. Those have obviously been canceled since, which is good. But we got some new problems now for Bermuda. As a matter of fact, they... actually now have hurricane watches in effect here. Let's bring you guys over here real quickly to this real fast. So let's hop you guys on over here to the Hurricane Center's page. So we have Imelda right now. Actually, we'll first of all talk about the system here currently. Here, let's go to the images here. So we still do have a couple tropical storm warnings in effect up here for the northern Bahamas. Still expecting some tropical storm conditions. The circle, the wind field of which those tropical storm force winds is moving out of the Bahamas, which is good. However, like I mentioned, we now have hurricane watches in effect for Bermuda, meaning that they're going to be possibly dealing with some hurricane conditions. The cone has obviously narrowed quite a bit as we've gotten a lot more, a lot more better guidance with the models. We have a lot more information now. So, whenever it comes to it, Bermuda obviously at this point really needs to prepare. You guys need to get ready for this system. If you know anybody out there in Bermuda, we're obviously going to be covering this, but if you know anybody out there in Bermuda, be sure to let them know if you're in Bermuda. Obviously, start preparing yourself. Make sure you have plenty enough food, plenty enough water, flashlight, extra batteries. Make sure you have extra batteries. If you have a generator, make sure it's up to date. Make sure you can, make sure it has new gas in it. Change the oil if you have to. Just stuff like that you really need to start thinking about. Also, get your safe spot prepared. The central interior portion of your home will be the best, for the, or to basically, camp out at if you're going to stay. I'm not sure, but I'm sure probably here soon there's already going to be flights that's going to be, evacuating people out of Bermuda. But, if you're going to stay, just please be careful because, this is pretty serious, considering that Bermuda is just a small island out in the middle of the water. You got a hurricane that's going right over. This is going to be a pretty big issue out there for Bermuda. It kind of looks like almost worst case scenario. It's just going to go right near, if not right over Bermuda, the center of the storm here. So definitely got to be looking out there for that. Let's see here. Kaylee says, haven't seen any northern lights since, May? That was when it reached down to Oklahoma. Dude, that was not last year. Last year, we had some crazy northern lights. I didn't get to see them, though, sadly. I'm down here in central Florida. I mean, apparently they happened in northern Florida, from what I heard. But, yeah, during that really crazy solar storm that we had, man, I never seen the northern lights. That's something I've always wanted to, but just never had the chance to. Here, let me take a peek at the SWPC real quick. See if we got anything going on right now. I mean, this is some typically something we don't usually do on this channel, but every once in a while I don't mind looking at the space weather here. No, it doesn't really look like we have anything crazy going on. We have a G1, 24-hour maximums shows a G1, but it doesn't look like we really have anything crazy predicted either. Yeah. Anyways. I guess, since we were bringing that up, I just kind of wanted to take a look at that. Let's see here. You have pics of the Northern Lights. Dude, come on, man. Don't self-promote in my chat, dude. That's not very nice. Let's see. There's supposed to be a really big one out. Huh, interesting. Anyways, but back to the tropics here. But yeah, like I said, we do have hurricane watches in effect here. So the timing out of this system here, we are going to be seeing the system, going through Bermuda between 2 p.m. on Wednesday and 2 a.m. on Thursday. So it's going to be kind of the later commute of Wednesday is when we're going to be having the heaviest impacts here out there by Bermuda. So once again, just, be sure if you know anybody out there, like I mentioned, just make sure that you guys are ready for it. You guys can see down here, hurricane watches in the pink, which we do now have an effect here overall. Now, whenever it comes to the other system, Humberto here, we do. Here, let's see. Let's go back a little bit here. We also do have tropical storm. Did they cancel those since yesterday? Yeah, it looks like they did actually. Yeah, so Bermuda does not have any tropical storm watches out of this system. It looks like, the wind field is pretty massive on Humberto here, but, whenever it comes to it, it looks like those tropical storm winds are just going to be outside of Bermuda, which is definitely good. But, that's with that system. But with the Imelda, definitely a lot worse impacts. We'll definitely be watching out there for it overall. Let's see here. What's up, Frankie? Good to see you, man. Hope you are doing well. Let's see here. What's up, Western? Good to see you. Kim says, hey, Andrew. Good to see you. I'm worried about Humberto hitting the UK. Well, good to see you too, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. So Humberto's track here, it's a little far-fetched. It's very, very far away from the UK. You can see. We are we are really far away. I wouldn't worry about it, dude. It's just way, 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 way too far out. I don't even think models. Here, let's hop you guys over here. The models will not even be really accurate looking that far, to be honest with you. You can see that. Oh wow, that thing. Look at the gradient there on those ISO bars. Holy cow. Well, you know what? So it won't be a tropical cyclone anymore, dude. That thing's really moving. Holy cow. That is crazy how fast that thing's moving. But you know what? It's not going to be a tropical system at that point, but just probably a strong low. But I do see what you're saying here. This is a lot. I did not realize how fast this system was going to be moving. To be honest with you, once we get past Bermuda with Humberto, goodness, yeah. Then you got GFS really showing Imelda going right over there towards Bermuda overall. Let's see here. SoFly says, so what's the impacts for Bermuda? So we do have a hurricane watch in effect for Bermuda, so we are expecting the potential for hurricane conditions. In terms of the strength here, let's hop you guys back over here. So this is current satellite imagery. Here's Humberto. Here's Imelda. So on the forecast track, the system is probably going to be either Category 1 or Category 2. More than likely, the system is probably going to be near Category 2 strength as it approaches Bermuda. So, I mean, you can see, obviously, Bermuda's kind of right there in the middle of the cone here. So we definitely got to watch really, really close out there for that. But, between the first, this is for 2 p.m., I believe this is Wednesday. So Wednesday, we're seeing on the forecast about 90 sustained winds here with gusts up to 115. And then, of course, on the next, the next time series here, we do have 2 a.m. on the second, which has it at about 100 sustained. So, we are going to be still strengthening as the system, does go over Bermuda here, right around that time for the morning of Thursday. We're going to be having some gusts up to right around 120 or so possibly. So definitely some really, really big impacts here expected for, the areas of Bermuda. It's going to be between the first here, so for Wednesday afternoon, between probably sometime Wednesday evening, later Wednesday is when we're going to have, those direct impacts here overall. So just make sure you guys are watching it. And we're going to definitely be covering this whenever the system does make landfall or whenever it makes close to landfall. Depends on where the center goes. Because it could still be a little bit further to the north. It could be a little bit further to the south. But I mean, right now Bermuda is like right in the middle. Regardless, these impacts are going to be pretty massive here overall. Chris coming in with a $10 super chat, my man. Thank you so much, Chris. You rock, dude. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna leave a heart for you and a like. Thank you, dude. That is really, really nice of you, my friend. Huge shout out goes to Chris. Y'all in chat, please give Chris a big thank you. That helps us out a ton, man. Thank you so much, dude. That is really, really, really nice of you. So big, big thank you. We beat our goal. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. Hats off for Chris, dude. Really appreciate it, man. But yeah, so like I mentioned, Bermuda is definitely under some pretty big potential impacts here. We are going to be likely seeing some hurricane conditions. Those watches will eventually likely be turned into warnings. Regardless, even, best case scenario, right? Even best case scenario where the system goes as far north, there still is going to be very heavy impacts on the system here for Bermuda. I mean, even if the eye doesn't go right over Bermuda, there's still going to be very, very heavy impacts out there in which we obviously really do need to be watching for regardless. So like I mentioned, there are watches right now, which, hurricane watches means, okay, hurricane conditions in the future are possible. But now would be a good time to start preparing because, with what we know, there's no, turning back now. I mean, we're going to be having some impacts regardless in Bermuda. So, like I mentioned, just for my Bermuda folks, just make sure you guys are getting ready for the system here. Make sure you have plenty enough water, plenty enough food, first aid kit, flashlight, extra batteries, power banks, stuff like that. Make sure your generators are up to spec, fresh gas, good oil, all kinds of stuff. Just make sure everything is ready to go. Like I said, if you're going to stay, which, I would kind of advise against it, to be honest with you. I ain't going to lie. Because, I mean, Bermuda's a pretty small island here, It's a really tiny place. And, of course, there's going to be some big impacts felt through the entirety of the island, regardless. So I would advise against it. I mean, I don't know if there's any. I'm sure there's a lot of flights that's probably going to take off to, like I mentioned, to evacuate. Which, I mean, I would advise if you can, maybe try to. But if you're going to ride it out, please be careful. please, please, please be careful because, yeah, it's going to be pretty rough out there from what it looks like. Just a quick little segment here. We do have quite a bit of activity popping off in the E-Pack now. We got a lemon, we got a orange, and a cherry here. We got an overall 10% chance of development on this little guy over here. This one over here have a 60% chance of formation, none in the next 48 hours. And then we got a 90% chance. So we're getting ready to have a new depression or storm here in the eastern Pacific. But just figured I'd mention that. Obviously this is we're mostly focusing on the Atlantic, but I figured I'd just let you guys know what's going on out there. What's up, Sleeveless? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's see here. Kim says, okay, it's 2:15. Thanks for looking at that for me, Andrew. I'm going to be watching. Good. I'm glad that you're going to be watching it, my friend. Just, please, please, please be careful out there, okay? And make sure that you, just make sure that you're watching it closely, okay? I know it could be pretty impactful out there. I mean, given how fast that thing's moving, it's pretty crazy. Looking back at the model here. We're going to have you guys back to models here real quickly. Let's see. Omar says, is Tampa safe this season? I mean, obviously we don't know for sure, given, we still have quite a few... we still have over a month of hurricane season left, about 2 months to be exact. We still have all of October, which can be pretty active, and then we got November as well, which is, it could go either way. I mean, I've seen the activity in November before, but, November is when it really starts to quiet down quite a bit. I mean, on average. But... there's no way to be for sure right now, but we'll just have to see what the future brings. Anyways, but yeah, over here to the models, with Humberto, I mean, that thing just gets launched to the north here. It won't be a tropical cyclone at that point anymore. It'll just be a non-tropical low. But, look at those steep isobar gradients here that we have. That would really induce some strong winds, likely, for the UK. So we are likely going to be dealing with some pretty, some pretty heavy stuff here. In terms of wind with that system. So, I mean, we typically don't forecast for, Europe in general, but yeah, since you mentioned it, it'll likely be kind of a wind maker by the time it works out there. But yeah, hopping back over here, actually, we're going to look at the individual hurricane models. We're going to hop to Imelda here. So, looking, I don't think you guys can really see the time here. Let me do something for you guys, actually. I should have probably set this up earlier. But I'm going to do something for y'all. Here, let's change this up a little bit. I'm going to crop out a little section here so you guys can actually see the time. That way you guys can actually look and see what time it is here. So let's put that here. Perfect. All right, so you guys can see the time up in the top right now. So we work way down in time here. This is HWRF. So, this model does have the thing picking up quite a bit of strength here. You can actually see the eye or the center of the storm, just right there, barely to the north of Bermuda, but they're kind of in the eye wall at that point. But you can see there's a lot of dry air, by the time we approach Bermuda here. So it would be kind of a bit of a dry system from what it looks like. You can see a lot of really heavy winds on the western flank here. According to the HWRF, it looks like could be kind of a bit stronger on the western side. But look at that. Let's look at the sounding here. Let's see. Oh yeah, 60 knots. Definitely higher gusts and stuff like that. That is pretty crazy. But yeah, definitely need to watch out for Bermuda. Once again, now is the time that we definitely need to start preparing for Bermuda if we can. Let's look at the infrared here. Let's see the future infrared. You can see. Yeah, so there's Bermuda. So from what it looks like, there's definitely going to be probably quite a bit of drier air. You can see indicated in the brown here, likely going over Bermuda, which, would really lower the amount of precipitation. It seems like a lot of the moisture, you can see, is going to be up north. Oh, nice. A lot of the moisture is going to be up north for the most part. The southern side seems to be pretty dry overall. So let's take a look at another model. So let's look at the HMON on Imelda here. So, different model. Let's see. Ooh, that really gets wrapped in some dry air here. I don't see Bermuda, though. Where is Bermuda? Hold on. It's going to be a little off-center for a second. I got to try to find Bermuda here. Oh. That is interesting. What is HMON? It shows it kind of far away from Bermuda, right? Yeah, I don't even see Bermuda on the map here. I think it might go south of Bermuda. I'm pretty sure this is at 34° north latitude. So what is that? Let's see. let's see, 34. Wait, hold on a minute. 34 degrees north, so that would be just above Bermuda. That would be, so Bermuda, I believe, is at like 32 degrees north latitude, 33 degrees north. 65 west, I believe Bermuda is. So what are we on the? Oh, interesting. So this is actually going to be. Oh, there's Bermuda. I was good. I had to line up my the latitude and longitude here. There you go. I don't know why I didn't see it. I guess that was because I was looking too high up. So there's Bermuda. So the system does go above. Yeah, it does go above Bermuda according to the HMON, but this is just another model. But, you know, like the HWRF, it shows all of a lot of that precipitation just being to the north here. You know, all that precipitation just being kind of north of Bermuda there. So that would be good, you know, at least in terms of not really flooding. You know, not as much of a flooding threat per se. So it seems like it possibly could be a bit of a dry storm. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's likely going to be a lot of winds, you know, a lot of rough seas, you know, everything except for, you know, heavy flooding from what it looks like. It seems like a lot of that's going to be... you know, it really does seem like a lot of that's going to be pretty dry overall. See, I know you don't, Andrew. I appreciate you for that. Yeah, no problem, dude. No problem. See, this is I'm meh. I suffer from Crohn's, and today I woke up. Or, hold on. Today has been fun, but I'm feeling on the uptick. Sorry to hear that, dude. Hopefully you feel better, man. Let's see. Brady says, I want to follow Humberto to the UK and see how good the waves are. Yeah, I mean, given that isobar gradient, dude, that's, yeah, it's probably going to be a little choppy out there. Absolutely. Let's see. Is it okay to see the sea surface temperature? Yeah, I can do that for you. Here, let me bring it up real quickly for you. So waters are still pretty darn warm, actually. Here, let me pull up North Atlantic here for you, especially out there by the Caribbean. They are really spicy still. There you go. There you go. So there's the latest sea surface temperature. So, if you know, you really, for tropical development, you know, development and sustainability, typically you do want your sea surface temperatures to be 26 degrees Celsius and greater overall. But yeah, out there by the Caribbean, I mean, it is really warm, especially just south of like Cuba, west of Jamaica. It is really warm out here. I mean, yeah, I mean, even a lot of the central Atlantic is still pretty darn warm. I mean, if we get any waves that come off, I mean, it's definitely warm enough for that. The Gulf is still pretty darn warm, and it's not as warm as it was, but it's still 29, 30 Celsius, which that's still very warm. Still super warm out there. Anyways, I mean, yeah, even out there by Bermuda, I mean, it's still a good 29, 28 degrees Celsius out there, so it's definitely a little bit warm. That is for sure. Anyways, all right, let's take a look at some more models here. So we looked at the HWRF, we looked at the HMON. Let's look at HFSA here. Let's see what that one suggests. Okay, so HAFSA. Okay, so here's the thing. So it depends on the scenario. If the storm's center passes north of Bermuda, there likely wouldn't be nearly as much rain because all that precipitation is going to be on the top of the system, or at least a lot of it, I should say. Now, if there's another scenario like this model, HAFSA suggests, if the center of the storm goes south of Bermuda, that would mean more rainfall for Bermuda in general. So that could be more of a flooding concern if the system does go to the south here. You can see HAFSA has it barely going south. So what we know so far is that all these models do show a lot of dry air on the southern extent of the system. So that's common at this point. You know, this is pretty common between the models that we've looked at. And then up north, you know, it seems like there's going to be a lot of moisture up to the north. Not as much moisture down to the south. But what we still need to figure out is where the center is going to end up. So obviously, you know, this model has it to the south of Bermuda. You had HAFSA and B, or sorry, we're on HAFSA. I mean HMON, which showed it north, and we had HWRF. I think it had barely north, if I'm not mistaken, but right on it essentially. So like I mentioned, it just really depends on where the center goes. If the center goes, like I said, to the south, one more time, if it goes to the south, it'll be more rain. If it goes to the north, it'll be less rain. Regardless, though, of where it ends up, they're definitely going to be, they're definitely going to be having quite a bit of, winds associated with the system, just because of the steep pressure gradient that we have. I mean, 960 according to the HEFSA model. Okay. Let's pull up the HEFSB now. Let's see what this model run shows. So the HEFSB also has that center a little bit to the south here. You can see having some of that moisture go over Bermuda. A lot of the drier air just south of Bermuda. But yeah, that's just common denominators at this point. All the models we've looked at do show the system suffering from dry air. Which will really limit its strength. But, from what it looks like right now, the system is probably going to be within the range of Category 1 to Category 2 as it approaches Bermuda. So, I mean, it's not going to be, it could be a lot worse, but it's still a pretty nasty storm. Still Category 1, Category 2 can cause some serious problems, which, we definitely, like I said, need to start preparing for. Absolutely. You look at the radar here, you can see that, just how much rainfall there is up north, because that's where all the moisture's at. And you can see down south here where it's just so dry, we don't get much convection down here. So, that's why it's really important to, to look at where the center of the storm is going to go. Because, once again, if the storm center is south of Bermuda, that would increase more rain. That would allow for more of a rainy system. If it's more north of Bermuda, it would be more of a dry system. But still, regardless, like I mentioned, it's still going to be very, very much windy regardless here. So we'll definitely be, looking out there for that. We'll keep you guys updated. What's up, Polly? Good to see ya. Gabby says, what is causing the rain in Raleigh? Well, I know we have a lot of moisture from Imelda out here. If we take a look here at the radar, so you can see we do have quite a bit of moisture. This is associated with Imelda. It's actually a pretty strong jet to the north, I believe. I think this is all going north, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of moisture from the tropics here. The system, you can see, is actually just off the coast of Florida, which, I mean, you can already see that rotation there, looking at the KMLB radar. Pretty crazy. Let's see. What about the KTBW? Can you even see it up there? Yeah, you can kind of see some of it. Yeah, I'm over here in Lakeland, so we kind of lucked out a little bit in Florida. I ain't gonna lie. System is just off the coast of Florida to cause any significant impacts, which is good. But regardless, though, the waters, I tell you what, though, I'm sure they are still pretty rough out there by the coast. Along the coastal areas. I'm sure we're dealing with quite a bit of big waves and definitely rip currents. I'm sure the rip current risk out here is pretty high. Let's see here. Let me double check on that. Yes. So look at this here. So this is the rip current risk here from the Hurricane Center. You can see pretty much the entire southeast coast here. All of east coastal Florida, all of South Carolina and North Carolina's coast for the most part is in a high risk for rip currents here today. We got a few little areas it's in a moderate risk, but still, yeah, wouldn't be out in the waters, down here right now. The Northeast, obviously, we're good. You guys can go to the beach, whatever. The Gulf Coast, yeah, pretty good for the most part, except for some areas out by, like, the western Big Bend towards, like, Panama City and stuff. We have a little bit of a moderate rip current concern, but, yeah, the worst of it is on the eastern coast, for coastal Florida, the east coast of Florida, coastal Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, overall. So that is what we're looking out there for. So we've got to keep an eye out there for that. Rip currents are going to be a huge, huge problem. I think tomorrow they're going to be pretty bad too. Yeah, actually tomorrow they're going to be worse, even up across the Northeast here. Even like New Jersey is getting quite a bit of heavy rip currents and stuff. Even the west coast of Florida, actually. Yeah, look at that. So out there just off of Tampa here, just west of Tampa. Goodness. So, y'all, by the way, we're probably going to go live again on this channel here in a little bit. I'm going to end up doing another flight into Imelda. So yesterday we did a little bit of a stream where we were playing Flight Simulator, and we flew into Humberto and Imelda. So I'm probably going to go live again later tonight, probably sometime maybe around 11 p.m. We'll go live for you guys. And I'll actually fly again into Imelda, which has real current weather conditions, everything. So be sure to be there for that, as we'll be flying into Imelda. We'll be talking about the storm more and stuff like that. But anyways, Jonathan says 983 millibars found in Imelda. Really? Do they have a mission going on right now? They sure do. I see 987. But you said 983 here. Let me bring you guys over here real quickly. Actually, I'll just bring it over here. Why not? Yep, so it looks like we do have a C-130J going through the storm right now. They did a drop sonde of 987 millibars. Let's look at some of the more data here. I can see, oh yeah, down to, oh yeah, look at that. Sea level pressure, it's right around 985, maybe 986 I see here. Oh, we did have one that was down to 983 earlier. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, 983, 984. Yeah, the winds on it. Oops. You can see the winds on it here. Let me move my little thing here so you guys can see that. About 50 knots what they have so far on it. So right now it's sustained. You can see in the bottom here, bottom of my screen, just below my mouse. Imelda's right at 65 sustained here, moving north at 9. So it's going to start slowing down and moving east here soon. Just pressure down to 985 on there. Huh. Let's see here. Awesome to 11 p.m. isn't very late for me. Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely be we'll definitely do another live stream later today, guys. We'll do a flight simulator. I'm in VR too, so we'll we'll have to fly into it again. It'll be pretty cool. You know, considering actually we'll fly from Lakeland. You know, where the hurricane hunters fly from usually. So we'll fly from Lakeland into the storm here later on, and we'll have radar and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So, anyways. But yeah, so like I mentioned, you know, later on down in time, we obviously need to watch out for Bermuda. I mean, we're going to have Humberto making a pretty close approach as well. I mean, you can see Bermuda's going to be getting a little bit slammed here over the next few days. So just please be careful out there, y'all. Just make sure that you guys are watching it pretty closely. You know, especially with Imelda, you know, going to be kind of the worst of the two systems here overall. So just please be careful. And then, but yeah, so once again, watches are in effect here. We'll have to watch out for warnings. Obviously, you know, whenever those do get issued, which, you know, at this point in time, I mean, yeah, they're likely going to be issued at some point here, probably pretty soon. I mean, the guidance, like I said, even if the thing goes as far south as the cone or as far north as the cone, there's still going to be some serious impacts for Bermuda, you know? So that's, at this point in time, there's no going back. Like I mentioned, there's going to be some heavy impacts here overall. Can I fly the same plane they fly in the flight simulator? So I can, but there's another plane I typically like to fly. So also the one that doesn't have the cockpit modeled correctly, sadly. Else I would. Else I really would. But we'll do another twin turboprop engine. I think the what is it? The P3 Orion, the one that they typically fly in. NOAA Hurricane Hunters anyway. So there's aircraft. There's Air Force Hurricane Hunters and there's NOAA Hurricane Hunters. Air Force flies the C-130J and NOAA flies the P3 Orion. I think they have another high altitude aircraft. I don't know what the exact aircraft is on that one. There's two different types of missions that they usually do. You have the low reconnaissance, which they fly at 10,000 feet. They scan through the storm, and then you have the upper air, which I believe is at 40,000 feet, I believe. Kind of gets more information on the mid levels. You know, they do drop sondes, so they drop these tubes down. They fall down through the atmosphere and collect data, like wind speed, temperature, humidity, dew point. But yeah. Anyways. Let's see here. Oh, nice. Nice, Brady. That's awesome. Anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions, let me know, as we'll answer them. But yeah, so like I mentioned, we'll just definitely be watching this over the next few days, and we'll do some coverage on it. You know, whenever we do end up, you know, get to the point here overall. So we'll definitely be here to do some coverage and everything like that. So we'll whenever it comes to the point of the coverage, we'll probably fly into it on VR for one, and we'll also have like a bunch of views and stuff like that you guys can get up, like camera views and everything like that. So I plan on having a whole little thing going on here for whenever the landfall does occur, so we can just give as much information as possible. I think it'll be pretty cool, man. I don't think anybody really has done that, and I think that's where I really want to come in and like fly into the storm in VR, with real current weather data, and then of course, keep you guys informed and updated on it as well. I think that would be super, super cool. Like I said, the big changes to the channel here I've been doing is I'm going to start uploading some of my game stuff on here as well as just weather updates. So it's just going to be everything. I just figured it's like, I have this channel. I'm just going to do everything in one spot. If you don't want to watch the game stuff, that's fine. You can just watch the weather updates. If you don't want to watch the weather updates, you can just watch the game stuff, whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Carrot says, could it become a major? So I doubt it. I don't think it will because of the dry air intrusion that we have going on. Like we mentioned here in the models and everything, it seems like we're really going to have, let's move you guys back over to models so I can show you. So it seems like we're really going to have a lot of dry air getting on into the system here, which is going to prevent it from really picking up any more strength, I believe. So I do not think it will reach major hurricane status, no. Unless it somehow has explosive, intensity over the next little bit, before that dry air starts hitting. Maybe, but I doubt it. I personally think it's probably going to be either an upper Category 1 or a lower Category 2. I wouldn't count on it being major. I'd say it's pretty low odds it does. Now, Humberto, on the other hand, Humberto's a beast. Still a Category 4. So Imelda's 65 sustained, moving north at 9. Central low down at 985. But we found 983 in the recon mission. Humberto, pressure 942. Winds still 140. Moving north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. So that's the latest on those two. Anyways, folks, all right, everybody. Well, like I said, we're going to go live again at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern on flying into, we'll probably fly into Humberto too, but we'll fly into Imelda. So I hope to see you guys back then on the channel. Like I said, set an alarm or whatever for 11 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be in about, an hour and a half or so, a little bit less. So we'll be back here relatively soon for some more streams. But alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Like I said, we'll see you guys here soon. So just hang tight. If I don't see you guys, then we'll then have a great rest of your night, and we'll catch you guys here tomorrow if you cannot make tonight's later live stream. But all right, everybody. Thank you for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you guys later on. All right, everybody. See ya later on.